Hello everybody. Today I got a very special mod spotlight for you. From the creator of the Fun Gang mod, Miz, whose aforementioned mod was one of the best I've ever seen in Don't Starve Together, comes yet another character mod. And this one's for all the annoying JoJo fans like myself. This is Toru, the head doctor. I think that's how it's pronounced, it might be Toru. This mod adds a brand new survivor with a whole host of new abilities, items, gimmicks, sounds, a tree, not an insight one, and a playstyle that has never been demonstrated in this game with a stand and everything. Let's get stuck in. If you don't know who Toru or Wanderer of You is, they are an antagonist duo seen in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 8 to JoJolion, so soft spoilers for that if you're an anime only watcher. A doctor and his stand. This quote-unquote pair work well quote-unquote together to survive in the constant and keep themselves safe thanks to Calamity manipulation. Don't worry, I'll explain what on earth that means in a little bit. First of all, their stats. Toru himself sits at a cozy 150 hunger, a low 100 sanity, and the lowest HP pool of any survivor in the game at only 50 health points, frailer than Maxwell. This pitiful HP pool cements his character as a pseudo-pacifist, one that really doesn't want to fight head on and would have to make use of their powers to keep safe, of which we'll look at right now. To tolerate having such a low HP pool, Toru will masterfully avoid any damage taken every 20 seconds. Think of this like an inbuilt bone armor with a long cooldown. As well as that, he takes 30% less damage from all attacks. So with an inbuilt bone armor and passive defenses, that 50 HP doesn't look so bad, does it? Well, we gotta talk about his other downside now. Due to his really stylish and ultra cool afro, he cannot wear any headgear. At all. You can't wear any insulating headgear for winter, any sanity restoring headgear to stay sane, and no helmets to stay safe. You must rely on chest slot gear as his character. This is a colossal downside. So far I'm making this character sound really weak, so let's get into the proper part of his kit, Calamity manipulation. Whenever someone pursues Toru or attempts to attack them, his stand's power will activate, which will cause rocks, twigs, and other detritus that you can't see but is totally there, fly towards that enemy and deal 40 damage every few seconds, until the enemy is either dead or stops pursuing you. On top of that, if this enemy that is pursuing you moves nearby a tree, the tree itself will fall down on them and deal a whopping 100 damage. This can only happen once per creature. This means if you're fighting enemies in the woods, you can deal way more damage to them this way, as well as harvest a bunch of wood at the same time. We're already now starting to see the kind of character Toru is. You don't want to have to fight enemies one-on-one due to your frail body, and instead rely on calamities to slowly whittle them down for you as you do your best to evade. A weird pacifist kind of character which oddly works really well without being stupidly overpowered. These calamities can only target one enemy at a time, so you may get overwhelmed if a large group attacks you at once. Fortunately for you, that's where Wonder of You comes in. Wonder of You is Toru's stand, a manifestation of his life energy, and the source of all of his calamity prowess. You know those big dudes you see in JoJo beating each other up? It's one of those things. Wonder of You isn't a separate character, but instead a form Toru can transform into. Even though he doesn't really do that in the manga, don't worry about it. You transform into this stand by pressing Z on your keyboard, or randomly when taking damage in a safe way to save the user. Wonder of You is very different from your usual survivor, since it's completely intangible to the world, meaning it can walk through obstacles and over water. And I mean walk. It even has the little onomatopoeia that does in the manga. Ooh. It moves at an incredibly slow pace, only slightly made bearable by the fact he can teleport once per transformation. You don't need to run anywhere as this guy though, since during this form, you are also completely immortal. You can't starve, and you can't take any damage. Since Toru's calamity manipulation comes from Wonder of You, that also means those powers are cranked up to 11 when it's active. The debris that flies at enemies attacking you will only do half as much damage, but will trigger on every enemy attacking you at once, whereas before, it could only ever attack one. This makes it excellent for whenever you get overwhelmed by huge groups of hounds or spiders. But on top of that, if anything tries to strike Wonder of you, they'll be launched back and have some random nonsense dropped on their head for 60 damage each and every time they try to hit you. This form is strong. Very strong. It's not going to solo entire bosses, but might clear whole hound waves if you time it properly. But this form does not last forever, only being sustained for a quick 15 seconds before the stand is recalled and Toru comes back. Be sure to not be in a pickle whenever the timer runs out, since Toru's low health means you'll probably die very quick. After you've used Wonder of You, you'll need to wait a whole minute before you can call him back out again. There will be a little dialogue saying that it's ready. This gives our favourite frail doctor a panic button, a way to avoid danger even more so than he already can. You can also use this form to cross gaps if you want to, but with its short duration and long cooldown, it's really best that you save it for combat engagements that really call for it. It's just something that you really need to use when you need it the most. As well as having enhanced Calamity manipulation, Wonder of You also has a somewhat offensive ability. While assuming the form, you can alt-click on any enemy to use Calamity Flow, which makes the enemy take 60% more damage from any attack for 30 seconds, thanks to a super heavy rain cloud above them. Doing this will instantly transform you back to Toru, however. This gives Toru a way to actually deal somewhat decent damage to single targets like bosses, since usually your Calamity manipulation isn't the best when it comes to fighting them. It also works well in a group setting. So we've been over Toru and Wonder of You's innate stats and abilities. It's now time we go over their craftable items. Well, less items and more living rock insect things. First of all, with simply a bunch of rocks, you can make yourself a obrada. This rock insect can be thrown at enemies to root them in place for a whole 15 seconds. During that time, you can attack them all you want with your calamities, weapons, or even just use the time to run away. And it even works on bosses. With its cost of 4 rocks, it isn't too cheap, but it isn't too expensive at all. It ends up being one very tidy way to spend your rocks. Just be a little bit considerate of any Winona mains that want to steal all the rocks instead, before you get your stone fruit so you can mass produce these things. Secondly, we have the Yes, these are all music references and have nonsense names. This rock insect, yes, it's still an insect, is made from a couple of sticks, and functions as a very nifty little trap. When placed on the ground, any mobs that get into its range will be slowed down by 40%, thanks to the insect injecting asbestos into their body with its spines. Look, the manga isn't called a JoJo's Perfectly Reasonable Adventure, is it? The trap itself will last for 2 days, inflicting its weird asbestos slowing the entire time in its radius. You can also pick them back up and relocate them if you wish. These 2 rock insects are perfect at, yet again, keeping Toru safe, and hammering in the playstyle and archetype of a character who kind of avoids and skirts around enemies whilst they slowly die on their own. But we have one more craftable item to look at, and it's one that Toru actually starts with, the legendary Locacaca fruit. This is a fruit. Dear God. It can be made with a bunch of seeds, glommergoop and a mosquito sack. A very costly recipe. Fortunately, you don't really want to be crafting these things, as its main method of being obtained is through growing them. Like any old tree seed, you can plant them in the ground to grow them like any other tree. They'll take a few days to grow, but once matured, they can be harvested for the same amount of logs as a regular tree, plus 2 extra fruits. Keep in mind though, since these are trees, any enemy pursuing you can have them fall on them if they walk by them thanks to your calamities, so keep that in mind in case you don't want them to be harvested early, or if you want them to be harvested at the perfect time. So what exactly do these funky looking fruits do? Well, through the power of equivalent exchange, anything. And by that I mean it will randomly raise or lower your health, hunger or sanity. Wholly unpredictable, completely unreliable, but do make for a cute little tree to grow instead of evergreens. And food for the lucky ones among us. The final thing to mention about this character is that they have full custom voice sounds, both for Toru and Wonder of You. Much like Miz's other mods, you got a boatload of config options to mess around with, and even a really cool custom main menu if you use mods in the menu, complete with its own soundtrack. This mod is really cool. And that's is the Toru mod. Such a lovely, well put together mod that is presented in such a gorgeous and amazing way. The art is well drawn as always, and despite not fully fitting into Don't Starve thematically, when you have mods like this, it's hard to care otherwise with how well made they are. And that's what modding should be about either way. Vanilla friendly mods standing shoulder to shoulder with cute anime mods. The art style fits DST in a very peculiar way, being a mix of Araki's turbo twink art style and the DST one. Toru's face looks a little bit weird, but if you see how he looks in the manga, I think that's by design. But Wonder of You looks absolutely bloomin' gorgeous, on top of all of the new items and even effects that the Calamities fire off. They really look like they fit the game. As for the character itself, there's such an anomaly in playstyle that it's hard to say if they're overpowered or not. On paper, they sound stupidly strong, a character that has to walk around while enemies slowly die around them, but in practice, they somehow feel just right. I don't know how to express it, you really gotta try it out for yourself. I say this on behalf of all of the other annoying JoJo fans out there, but thank you so much for working on this mod. But also, thank you all for watching at home. I know this mod spotlight was a weird one and may only appeal to a fair few of you, but it's still a fun one. I just had to make a video on it. Maybe I should do a challenge video one day where I have to try and survive as this guy. That could be fun. But for now, please go check out the mod for yourselves. The link is in the description as always. Have a lovely day everybody. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.